Hello, and great day, everyone. It is May 5th, 2011, and this is Tanya and Beth from Wash Your Brain, and we are fortunate to have Professor Griff with us today. He may be best known as the Minister of Information from Public Enemy, as well as a spoken word artist and talented musician. He's been a major instrument in the truth movement and in exposing the Illuminati. He's also an author whose most recent book is called Analytics, and he continues to lecture across the globe, educating people on the metaphysical goddessry of the soul of hip-hop. Welcome, Griff. Thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
I'm all right, and thank you for the welcome and the warm introduction there.
Absolutely.
Griff, we're so glad to have you with us. Could you tell us a bit about what you're currently working on?
Right now, as we speak, I'm going back and forth with my editor, and she's helping me edit this work that I prepared. This is for the third time now. The first time I prepared this psychological covert war on hip hop. I lost it in a house fire in 2008.
Oh, wow.
And then some burglaries. I lost some other manuscripts on thumb drives and that kind of thing. This time it's well guarded, and I'm going back and forth with my editor to actually finish it. Because this is definitely a serious labor. And it's one of those kind of arduous tasks that I just cannot wait to get done because it's just plaguing my brain. Because there is a war going on, a covert war. We don't see it in many cases. I try to explain to people, and I won't get a thorough chance to explain it in this talk, but I try to explain to people that there's a psychic war going on for the hearts and minds of the people. A war that you may not be able to see. In most cases, you will see the ones and zeros in the back rooms of some of these programs that are going on that's disconnecting you from everything natural. And that's serving as a buffer between you and nature. And it serves as a virtual or the cyber realm, so to speak. And it's actually, feeding you everything that you think that you need. So as long as you stay tapped in and plugged in to this concept called the Matrix, you truly feel that you're actually living and you're not. So the psychological covert war dives into that particular war that's going on. But my main focus is entertainment, and especially hip-hop.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I can't wait for that to come out.
Well, I'm really trying to get it out, but my editor, she is a very, very, very meticulous woman. and it's a reason why I chose a woman, because this male testosterone, this energy that we tend to dress up as maleness, so to speak, definitely needs to be balanced out. And that's one of the conversations I wanted to have with you guys today.
Yes.
The whole concept. And excuse me for just being kind of upfront with it. And what I'm about to say, and some of the things I'm about to say, really needs no apology. It probably needs the correct energy to get people to come up out of their comfort zone and grab a box cutter and cut themselves out of the box that they've allowed themselves to be comfortably sitting in right now. But the whole concept of calling God by these masculine names and these pronouns that we use in reference to the Creator, when everything in nature comes in pairs. So if it comes in pairs, then why aren't we giving credence to and compliments to the feminine aspect?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think those were deliberate attempts to keep you from doing what you're doing?
Oh, of course. Simply because, not that I'm any more special than the Peter Tosh and Bob Marleys and the Steve Bikos and the Mandelas or the Malcolm X or whomever. I could never, from where I'm viewing it, I could never compare my work to the work that they've done, because I stand on their shoulders. But all of us play a part. There's these two beautiful young ladies that I've met, Tanya and Beth, and little do they know they're actually playing a part in this whole thing. So when this is written, about. And people go back and they read back 10 years from now. You know, what does this talk about metaphysics? What does this talk about the psychological covert war? What does this talk about spirituality? And then they go back and they read, you know, we play a part in that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to look at it just, you know, as such. I mean, can you actually pick out in a colony of ants, can you actually pick out the ant who carried the last pebble?
Right.
No, we can't. But all of them play a part.
Yes.
Right.
Together.
And that, right, exactly. And that's how we. And there's a saying coming, you know, off of the continent. You know, I am.
Yes.
Because we are, therefore I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's how we have to look at it. Now, is that masculine or feminine? That's neither one. You see, we share in that because the balance is there. Natural equality is there.
Mm-hmm.
And I get told off quite a bit by black women because they want to fight for this equality. And I'm like, you don't have to fight for it. You have it. Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you play your role and I play my role, the roles should complement one another, thus creating harmony.
Harmony, exactly.
So
yeah.
It's straight.
There is. I'm really starting to see the shift from masculine to feminine. It's really quite incredible. I mean, it's been millennia since it's been balanced. And I see a lot of men who are getting in touch with their feminine side as well. And maybe you've even seen it in some of your friends who, you know, maybe used to be a little bit more macho and, you know, now are becoming a little bit more sensitive and in tune and in touch. It's a beautiful thing to see.
That's right. That's very necessary though, because we don't find the over maleness, if I could use that particular language. Because I don't want to use another language. It's just, it was always there. It's just that we had to put on the illusion of being super macho and simply because maybe we were hiding and masking something else.
Mm-hmm. And they're being taught, being taught to be macho and not cry and all these things.
Right. And that kind of reminds me of what I've seen in the news about 3 or 4 weeks ago in reference to this whole idea of bullying.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to myself, wow, this is deep, simply because it the whole idea of America having television shows now. I think on my television, I have maybe 500 channels.
Oh my!
Is that like the norm now?
I haven't watched TV in about 3 years.
Right. So it's like if you have 500 channels and you have children and your children are witnessing violent scenes every single day in the home, how dare you come back now and say we should be more sensitive to one group or another to say, we should stop bullying. Stop that. You're a bully.
Yeah.
And you're promoting bullying every single day on Channel Zero.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of desensitizing is going on.
Yeah, and definitely.
Right, but my thing is, I think according to the war that's going on, it's being done on a subconscious level.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
We don't even know we're being fed these things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, too, they don't have, the TV, of course, was perfect mind control, but now they have it right in the individual's pocket, right down to a person can have a PDA-type cell phone, so they have constant connection to the number one tools that control their minds, such as TV and video games and music and all of this. And these kids are carrying this around, and I think about it because I'm 40 years old, but when I was younger, there was no internet quite yet, and there wasn't all this digital cameras, and we had Polaroids. And thank goodness, because the bullying, I can't imagine the peer pressure today with these kids, and then they're being recorded, and before you know it, it's up on YouTube, and there's pictures and Facebook, and it's just unbelievable.
Right.
And they're so disconnected from nature completely. But that's what we hope to do. We hope to make a difference and start changing that.
Right. When I was growing up, it was often backdrop to the beautiful sunny days that few of them that we did get in Long Island, New York.
Yes.
We heard birds. We heard children playing, screaming, laughing. There was games that they made up in the street. It wasn't sold by Mattel.
Yeah. Jump ropes and chop.
Right.
Dancing and singing. I love it. Yeah.
Right. So we were forced to do that and be creative.
Yes.
Right.
Now there's no playing at all in the concrete jungle. We don't take the chalk anymore and go out in the street and draw on the street and come up with different games that we play. Now, children are inside. Children are plopping down on the couch with the video game controller in their hand.
Yes.
And it's hard to pull them away from that. Thus, now the children are getting heavier, fatter, unhealthy.
Yes, very much so.
Parents don't have time, and children are snacking. Parents are on the go. And it's a joke when me and some of my friends got together and looked at these parental controls that they have on the computer.
Oh, yeah.
Children laugh at that stuff like, yeah, right, okay.
They're the ones that wrote it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So they figure things out a lot quicker than we do.
Yes.
Because they're wired for that. Every now and then, all of us, we have to unplug.
Yes.
Turn it off. Turn all of it off. And do something very natural. Now, I'm not talking about using the bathroom because we have to do that every day. I'm talking about something very, very natural. I'm talking about some, Dixie Chicks, Cowboy Take Me Away natural. Like,
nestling in the bosom of your mother. I go outside and spend time with mommy every day. I have to unplug. I get, I wear my laptop like a set of braces. The EMFs are crazy. A lot of the creating and stuff I do is, on the computer. And, the internet, as much as I love it and having all that knowledge at my fingertips, the internet's killed TV, and that's what it is now. And if you don't connect and go out and spend some time with mommy, you lose yourself. You become dense matter. And exactly, these children, they're not creating, and it's not even fostering those environments anymore for them to create. They just plug in and consume because we've become consumers.
Right, and I think they're being fed on a psychological, subconscious level. They're being fed the things that they're actually acting out.
Yes.
And I studied Stephen Jacobson's work,
nice.
Mind Control in America, and he was 100% correct, and he was on it. And he talked about those stages on mind control, which we could see actually being manifested today in 2011.
Yes.
Totally. So it's no wonder that we get the results that we get, and we scratch our head and wonder why. Well, they scratch their head because some of us, I think 5% of us of this total population, figured it out. But who will listen?
Right.
Well, if you don't mind, especially for our listeners who do remember you from Public Enemy, maybe we could take a short trip back. And apparently there was an interview where you made some kind of anti-Semitic statements that caused quite a stir, although nobody could find the statements. May I ask you what really happened with you in the split of Public Enemy?
I think it's kind of ironic that you should say that, because if it was so devastating that what I said, we should be able to find it.
Yes.
And I should be able to be put in a position where I'm taken to task on it, right?
Yes.
How come we can't find it?
Right.
Somebody is just not telling the truth.
Yeah.
But just real brief and real quick. This is how it went from top to bottom. I was given a manuscript while I was out on the road. Mind you, I was the Minister of Information. And I think these first 2 points, if you kind of can make a mental note of these first 2 points, this is the basis of it all. First point, Public Enemy was only supposed to last for 2 years.
Okay.
With that in mind, It was almost a race against the clock to raise the conscious level of the human family, all of us, surprisingly enough, including white people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more apparent that we had a larger mission to reach out to educate white people because for some strange reason, the majority of black people think white people already know it all, and that's not the case.
It's not the case, yes.
So in reaching out to the human family, it includes white people, although white and black people were writing about Professor Griff and Public Enemy as though we hated white people, and that just wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
So if the program was supposed to last, the Public Enemy program was supposed to last, when I say program, don't think it was a mind control program.
Mm-hmm.
What we put together was supposed to last for 2 years. We were going to educate and raise 5,000 black leaders, and we were going to go back into the communities and do the work that needs to be done. That was it in a nutshell. The whole idea of the Jewish question came up when we had to actually deal firsthand with Jewish people. Now, let's give a backdrop to that. If we're in the hood, and excuse me for raising my voice, if we're in the hood and we ain't never dealt with white people, ever, ever,
Right.
And you're put in a situation where now you're meeting not only your white fans, managers and producers and stage people and whoever else, media people and whatever. No one said that we went to class for that. So culture shock, yes. And the sad part, I guess not the sad part about it, the real part about it is we remained who we were and talked the way we talk. Not in the sophisticated way that we are talking today. Mm-hmm. It was a lot more grimy than this. Are you following me?
Yeah.
And so in trying to pull this awesome task off, we're getting blown away and overwhelmed by wow. Okay, we never expected 20,000 white people to be putting their fists in the air. All right, we got to go back. We got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, we weren't expecting that. We weren't expecting just loyal white fans with Public Enemy's logo carved in their heads.
Yes, yes.
So not expecting that and not thinking that, we were letting young whites know, I'm talking about you. We're talking about your parents, grandparents that brought us into America in the holds of ships.
Yeah.
It's an ugly truth, but we have to speak to it. The song spoke to it. We spoke to it outside of the context. Outside of the songs, we spoke to it in interviews and in lectures and this kind of thing. But now when the press gets a hold of it, now we hate white people, we hate Jewish people, we're blaming Jewish people for the African Holocaust, it's the transatlantic slave trade and this, that, and the other, and whatever. And regardless of how much you twist it, nonetheless, we still have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, this is a bastard language called English.
Yeah.
I'm trying to speak to people using a language that I can't even speak.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now with that as a backdrop, I go into an interview with a black man who, for the most part, didn't make me aware that he was recording the conversation. Mm. So we're having an open conversation in reference to who's who, not only in the music industry, but on the global scene and the global front. Not really the front, but who's behind the scene. Mm-hmm. So I'm laying this stuff out. I'm laying out the octopus. I'm laying out who controls the music industry, the media, and I'm laying all of this out, not from Professor Griff. I'm laying this out with information that I received from other Jewish people, handed to me in a manuscript by a black man, interviewed by a black man.
Wow.
So I'm so far removed from it, it's not even funny, but when the ish goes down, it all falls back on Professor Griff's dad. Mm-hmm. Now, that's childish.
Right.
And I'm like, no. But I took it, and sad but true, the wounds are still being healed. Not only with myself and my Jewish friends, myself and Chuck and some of the other brothers in Public Enemy, because that did, I think, more damage to us on a personal level than any white Jewish person could ever imagine. You're talking about families and friendships and
your brothers.
People not speaking for years. And the sad part about that, I felt betrayed simply because, and this is no secret in 2011 because the majority of it I put in my book. I said, wait a minute, you mean to tell me you have a private conversation with me and you agree that there's an overwhelming amount of Jewish people that are in controlling positions in the music industry, but yet when you go public, you can't even utter one name, one corporation, one company, stop that. That's just being cowardly. But I don't have that in me. I'm not a coward like that.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And the reason why I can say that, because it's not my information.
Right.
It's information that I was receiving from, for the most part, other Jewish people. So the manuscript that I had in my hand was The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1, even before it became a book.
Wow.
Not to say that all the information there was correct. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying all the information was accurate, but even if it wasn't accurate, it wasn't coming from black people or Professor Griff. It was a book compiled and put together with all Jewish references, Jewish quotes, and so I thought that was very cowardly.
Yeah, they kind of left all that part out.
Oh, of course. And then not only that, they left the part out that I had a beautiful conversation with the Jewish woman that was supposedly engaged and to be married to David Mills at the time. It wasn't hostile. It wasn't. She understood that, okay, you're a young black man coming from the hood. I wouldn't expect you to know X, Y, and Z and, aspects of the Jewish history and the suffering and that kind of thing. And no, I didn't know. I can admit that.
Yes. Yeah.
If I had a chance to do it over, I'd probably be a lot more thorough. And I did apologize for the manner in which I presented the information, because David Mills took it like I was on the offensive and just kind of attacking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we young black dudes coming from the hood, man. We had no real experience with Jewish people like that. The only thing we knew of Jewish people is that they owned everything in the hood. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And we knew a little bit about the Holocaust because we've seen it on TV. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else did we know? So it wasn't no personal thing. They never got from me that I hate Jews or I hate this and calling them names, and I don't do that. That's childish. I presented information that was given to me as the Minister of Information, and I laid it out in an interview, and all of a sudden I become public enemy number one inside of public enemy, and I hate everybody.
Oh, no.
That. You couldn't meet me in a dark damn alley and hypnotize me and get that kind of stuff out of my subconscious mind, because it's not there. It's not there. Didn't have any real personal hatred against any white person, Irish, Italian, or otherwise. It's just that I knew aspects of the history and why black people were suffering.
Right.
At the same time, did I grow up with white people and have white friends? Of course. But there's just certain truths that we're not adult and mature enough to kind of handle. You know how many people I've hung up on the last 72 hours? I guess not 72 hours, probably last 2 or 3 days. In reference to this Osama bin Laden thing?
Oh,
I'm like, get off my phone with that. Seriously, that's childishness. Get off my phone.
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm not buying into the fact that all of a sudden now you track down a man after 10 years and you kill a man that's already been dead.
Right. Exactly.
That must have been really easy.
Yeah.
I know, right? So I'm not falling, but then no one sees you, but now you dump the body in the ocean, right?
Right.
I'm just not falling for that. That's just, come on. You're insulting our intelligence.
Exactly.
And then the sad part is see black people in the street celebrating as though we own something in America.
Yeah.
And literally, excuse my language, I'm like, sit your ass down. You don't own shit. You don't run anything. Seriously.
Right.
So I'm like, come on. But anyway, that's my take on it. And even today, a few years ago, I believe, when David Mills died, dropped dead on the movie set, I think a few minutes after he died, my phone was blowing up.
Oh, I bet.
And it's like, I don't know what to say about that. I'm just kind of like, no one dances in the street over somebody getting murdered and that kind of thing and dying. Come on.
Right.
But it's like when he, as a matter of fact, you guys probably didn't know he apologized.
Oh, really?
We don't read about that.
No.
Because we want to keep the Professor Griffs out there and everyone with that mindset that they feel hate Jewish people. We want to keep that going. But at the same time, simultaneously, you will blow up a Flavor of Love show
Right.
And that kind of imagery to serve as the new face of Public Enemy. Stop that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to ask you, because you talked a bit about Flava Flav and Brigitte Nielsen and how he affectionately calls her Gita, and you looked it up and it translated to God of the Dead. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, my thing is I laid it out on a metaphysical level, really, really, truly on an esoteric level, and I laid it out, and I had to stop talking about it because, this is sad to say, I had to stop talking about it because it's just too deep for people. And it's like, what is that you don't get? It's simple. And dealing with the spirit realm, there's certain laws that govern the spirit realm. The essence of who we are has been here before. And inside of giving that lesson to people, I'm often criticized about this whole religious meltdown that they say I do in my lecture. And it's not like a religious meltdown. I'm just saying that these religious concepts were borrowed and stolen from African spiritual concepts to make religion. I don't do religion at all. It's just not something that I do. I don't have to send my prayer to someone for someone to calculate it and send it to God, and then I got to wait for God to get back with me.
Yeah.
Why can't I tap into the self and just be me and communicate with the God realm, and I'm fine?
And it's just another way that they're using esoteric concepts for mind control.
Exactly. So I had to reintroduce. Now listen to this awesome task. And if any of you guys in the room would like to take this task on, I will gladly trade places with you. Could you please tell me how you go about talking to a man that have made over $5.5 million on TV that you're in the group with, who thinks he's a star now and people love him, who's still on drugs? How do you speak through the ignorance? How do you speak to that, to reach him and say, listen, the things that I laid out on an esoteric level in reference to you and the strange love thing and the flavor of love thing, how do you get him to understand, listen, there's a deity operating inside of you that you need to become aware of. So let me reintroduce you to you, or aspects of you. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Where can I get some weed from you? Where we going? Where we hanging out at? What we drinking? What kind of bottles we popping? Come on, man.
Right.
There's something deeper here. Then on top of all of that, what happened to the mission of Public Enemy? To raise the conscious level of our people and the human family. What happened to that? So it seems like I stuck to it on different levels, but everyone else just kind of fell short of doing it in their, I shouldn't say fell short, they're doing it in their own way, but I'm the only one that gets criticized. So just to set the record straight, I tried to set the record straight in my first couple of chapters of my book, that it's not about hating anyone, especially Jewish people. It's about being honest so we can confront these things that probably will affect us both as fellow human beings on the same path. That's all. I'm just a little bit darker than you. That's it. That's it. So it's hard to get these concepts over to people that's really not trying to hear it. And you know, my worst critics are religious people. Simply because the concepts that I bring are not necessarily taught in religion. Can I give you one of those concepts real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, something really, really basic that all of us can probably agree on, whether we're male, female, Jew, Gentile, Muslim, Christian, black, white, whatever. The law of karma will affect all of us, regardless of who we are, right or wrong. Okay, what goes around will definitely come back around. How about the whole concept, if it rains outside, regardless of who we are, we go outside, we are getting wet, right or wrong?
Right.
So the Creator is no respecter of persons in what your last name is. God is no respecter of persons. Are you following the divine law? Right. That is the question right there. Now we have to talk about what is the divine law. Now, whether you sit on a white toilet bowl or a gold one or whatever your color toilet bowl is, nonetheless, we have to use the bathroom every day because it's just what it is, right or wrong?
Right.
Okay. So we deal with divine law, things that are going to happen regardless. So I sit faith, belief, in all these religious concepts, and I just put them to the side. And this is why I get talked about. Because if you look up the word faith, you and I will have a problem. Because you have this religious stuff going on, and you're basing it on faith And I just don't have that concept. I just don't have that concept. If it's the time for the dandelion to grow, the dandelion is going to grow regardless, right or wrong, even through the concrete. It's just time for the dandelion to grow. And these are basic things that religious people just can't wrap their brains around or their spirit around. So when I say I'm Griff, I'm God, having a human experience called Griff, people have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Simply because everything in nature is inside of you. Tanya,
yes.
inside of you, Beth, right or wrong?
Right.
Okay, so if that's the case, then you're actually God in motion, aspects of the manifestation of the Creator. That's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
We have to use this third-dimensional body that we have to operate in this third-dimensional paradigm. So you have some pretty eyes, a nice shape, cute little nose, nice lips. That's fine, but that's not you.
Exactly. Thank you.
The essence of you is in you. So subsequently, when I meet people, so how you doing? My name is Griff. What's your name? Oh, okay. And so what do you do? Well, I work at. No. What do you do?
Exactly.
Who are you?
They don't know.
Right.
Right.
We're taught to search outside ourselves for everything.
Exactly. And that concept I cannot buy into. And I'm telling you guys, I'm sure you all know aspects of Black history. We've been knocked upside the head and dragged to America, and everything that we reach for is outside of the self.
Yes.
Once I discovered that, I'm like, nope, not going for it anymore. So now I'm in conflict with, first I was in conflict with the self,
Yes.
then in conflict with everything around me, including family and friends, because everybody around me is Christian except one or two radical brothers in the hood that decided to be Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an argument.
Right.
And then the Afrocentric thing, and then you're still trying to hold on to the white Jesus, but yet you want an African name, but still on your driver's license, you're Dwayne Williams. But in the hood, they call you Mutaka, so-and-so, whatever, Baba, whoever. Stop.
Yeah.
These are contradictions. It's like, come on.
Searching and searching.
We have to deal with the mystical and magical paths of the self and the not self. In most cases, the not self wins. That's it on the Jewish question. I don't even have enough words in my vocabulary. They say the average human has 400 words that we use. I don't even have enough words to kind of explain that. It'd be better if I explained it in person, because maybe you could see my countenance and my body language to let you guys know that I'm so sincere about this. It's not a hatred thing.
Yes. I can feel that. And thank you for taking the time and explaining that. It's, we see it all around. We're taught to search and search and search outside of ourselves for what is really only inside. And, to me, the most important part of this journey is the journey of self-love. Love isn't something that you're taught. As a great lyric says, love is sublime, not subliminal. And when a person doesn't love themselves, they can't begin to look in the mirror. So when you ask your buddy there he's just not ready to look in the mirror. It takes a lot to take responsibility for all that we are, all that we do, all that we say, think. It's hard. It's not easy. And we're taught to do just the opposite, and to run, to hide, and to search and search, because searching, you can then control the person, and you can make money off of them too.
Right, exactly.
Right there, let me ask you, can you shed a little bit of light on the perpetuation of mind control in hip-hop music, as well as through fashion and the display of symbols?
I think in attempting to do that, I've often said that I'm probably not the best one to answer that particular question. This is why. No. I think I can answer it, but I'm probably not the best one to answer it. So if we're part of a team, I'm probably not the best free throw shooter, but I can shoot.
Well, take a shot.
Okay, if there's a technical foul, you might not want Griff to shoot it. If Sean or somebody else to shoot it, then we good. You understand what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I'm saying all that to say this, that I pride myself on standing on the shoulders of those that came before me that actually did it well. And I don't care what their complexion is. And this is a lot of what kind of feedback that I get from a lot of black people. Yo, man, yo, son, how come you don't use black resources in your lecture? What's up with Jordan Maxwell? What's up with Michael Tessarian and all these other people? And all these Jewish people that you're using? Because they did the research. What are you talking about? So I don't, that doesn't move me like that. I'm like, okay, so if Michael Tessarian did the research and he talked about the sacred use of, the subversive use of sacred symbols in the media, brilliant work.
Yes, very much so.
We can't deny that.
Yeah.
I don't know the man personally, but I did spend my $40, $50 to send to the man so I could get his work, so I could study it and do the research to educate myself on these signs and symbols. The same with Jordan Maxwell. We cannot deny the life work that they've put out there. And we have to kind of extract from it and kind of build on it and push it. So I'm saying all that to say this. I stand on their shoulders. We understand the Steve Coakleys that are out there, the Ashwa Kwesi's, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark. But to go into Stephen Jacobson's work, you know, and put it out there and not give Stephen Jacobson the credit, come on, that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And don't do that because he's white and Jewish. Stop that. That's childish.
Yeah.
So these images that are out there, I say, will probably, they will definitely use as a mind control experiment. And when you go back and look into the MK Ultras and the MK Delta mind control experiments that was going on in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time you do get to 2011 and you go back to look at, you know, what John Stockwell wrote in one of his lectures dealing with the secret wars of the CIA and how the CIA used mind control experiments. I even brought that to Chuck D's attention when he was on Air America. I said, did you know that Air America was a name used for a covert operation? So in looking at these things, I'm pointing these things out to people. People are looking at me like you're crazy. So now I get written off as the worst kind of conspiracy theorist.
Exactly.
And the sad part about that, I can prove everything I say, but can they?
Yeah.
So that poses a problem because now when you dig up MK Ultra, MK Delta, and you start to go into these mind control experiments ran by the CIA inside and outside of the United States, you know, laws are being broken, families are being torn apart, people are losing their lives.
Yes.
And people act like it's just, we throw people away like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started seeing it in the music industry, especially in hip hop.
Yeah.
And I started speaking out about it, and it became a problem for a lot of people. But since I came up in hip hop and I was training brothers out of prison, and we had 107 people in our organization, and I'm not afraid to say we were training brothers that was coming out of jail that were killers.
Mm-hmm.
We was trying to reform their lives.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, those are the same brothers that came to our aid when people wanted to attack us and do harm to us.
Right.
Even to this day, even until yesterday, being threatened by these cyber thugs, these internet gangsters.
Yeah.
So I started to see it in hip hop, and I started calling it out. And it just so happens that Jay-Z's name came up on the radar. Kanye West's name came up on the radar. Rihanna, Beyonce, Eminem, and some other people's names came up on the radar, and we had to talk about it. Then I started talking about the blood rituals and the deaths that were going on in hip-hop that no one was talking about. How could 5 or 6 people die and everybody just say, oh, well?
Yeah, I know. Gosh.
And I'm like, wait a minute, that's someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the last straw with me was Jam Master Jay.
Yeah.
And I couldn't take it, so I said, nope, I'm sorry. Whether it cost me my life, I'm going to say something about it. And I did, and even when I began the task of doing the research, I was even blown away at the amount of information that was out there that they're not telling the American people or the public.
Yes.
Especially in hip-hop. I ran into racism firsthand, not perpetrated by white people, you would think, carried out, the system of it carried out subconsciously by black people.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That is dangerous. That is dangerous.
Very much so.
Because every time we think of racism, we think white people doing something to affect black people, and we never think that there's a black person fostering and pushing the agenda. And then when you bring it to their attention, they say, no, that's reverse racism.
Right.
Then they play it off like you're being homophobic. You play it off like you're anti-Jewish, anti-white, or you're bugging, you tripping, or just straight out, that is crazy. Are you following me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, come on, none of the above. Read this, written by this person. Now let's lay it next. Let me give you a real example. Let me play around with it. There's a gentleman by the name of Gary Webb who died, who was shot in the head. Gary Webb was the one that blew the cover off of the CIA operation that they were doing in L.A. in reference to the Contra scandal with the CIA crack cocaine wars that were going on in L.A., supplying the Bloods and Crips with guns and weapons and putting drugs among the gang members and this kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, so when Gary Webb was murdered, I took note, wrote it down, did some research with the research team, and I found out that there was about 5 to 6 more people murdered in the same exact way. Now, is that conspiracy theory, or is that a coincidence, or is it actual fact?
Right.
Because I started looking inside of the music industry, and I started seeing the same thing. Oh, okay, double tap, bullet to the head, but they said he committed suicide. Right. Sure.
Yeah, he was
So
that
when I started,
reporter, right?
yes, and a very good one.
Yeah, I remember
You know,
reading
wasn't afraid to go out in the street and go get the story until they found him with 2 bullet holes in him, slumped over his typewriter. Now, I don't know how eloquent you guys are with noticing these same stories that are coming out on these new improved 2010, 2011 cop shows. Mind you, they give the illusion of justice, and you never get justice, but nonetheless, you have the illusion of it. CSI and all these kind of cop shows that where they solve the mystery in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, some of the deaths in hip-hop have really never been solved.
Yeah, exactly.
So in trying to understand that, I tried to put it in such a way where we can digest it. So what I decided to do was, rather than talk about it, let me just show the actual images. So now my slide presentation consists of 1,000 slides.
Oh,
1,000, 1,000. You know how long it takes me to get to 1,000 slides show presentation? I'm like, man, y'all better bring some damn pajamas and a pillow and a blanket. So when I lay it out, people are just in disbelief. Like, first of all, how the hell do you find time to do all this research? And then the script is stand up for 4 hours and deliver it. But nonetheless, the imagery is there. I'm starting to see the handshakes, the Freemasonic handshakes. Right. I'm starting to see the sirens and the cymbals. I'm starting to see these things in hip-hop. And I'm scratching my head because a minute ago, you were talking about doing a stanky leg in the Dougie, wearing white tees and making these silly songs for kindergarten students. So now here this Professor Griff guy comes and talks about some esoteric stuff, some metaphysical stuff, some Freemasonic stuff, some Illuminati stuff. They're scratching their head, and all of a sudden now we got some popping Fristo internet YouTube scholars that all of a sudden now want to take the lead. I say, well, be my guest.
Right.
This is not an easy task to get people to understand this. And I tell these young brothers, I'm like, you're not going to watch a couple of YouTube clips now and become a scholar.
Right.
So I had to remind them, I am 50 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not this young buck.
Yeah.
And like you guys, I was back when we didn't have computers.
Yeah. Microfiche.
Yeah.
Right. What does that mean? That means you had to take your ass to the damn library.
Right. Right.
And sit down and read it and discuss it and analyze it. And in most cases, hell, we didn't have laptops. So how was you going to deliver? You had to be passionate enough and knowledgeable enough to stand in front of an audience with relatively no notes and deal with it. You had to know your subject.
Walk the talk.
Exactly. Nowadays, oh, no, not at all.
Point and click.
Not at all.
Now, speaking of that imagery and seeing the handshakes and everything in front of you, have you ever been witness to an occult practice? And I know you've talked a bit about sacrificial kills. When did you first learn about that?
When Tupac was assassinated, and I met John Patosh, who wrote the FBI's War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And having a conversation with him, it reminded me of the mind control program inside of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Tupac, and this is no reflection, and I'm not saying this in being mean spirited to any of the brothers that are out there that I'm about to mention. And a lot of times I have to put that out there to let them know I'm not being mean spirited about it. When Tupac was assassinated, someone had to fill that slot.
Yes.
Several people tried. And the two people, ironically, that almost looked like Tupac that filled that slot was Ja Rule and DMX. If you look back on how they look like Tupac. Bald head, dark-skinned brothers.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. Whoopie-whoop. Okay. But the slot had to be filled. In my mind, I'm like, why? Why? Okay. Biggie gets shot down. That slot has to be filled.
Right.
Surprisingly enough, after them two gentlemen were taken out of here, Jay-Z and Puffy became very popular.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That, I wrote it in my notes, and I started connecting the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Aaliyah dies, Left Eye dies, Jam Master Jay. Now I'm going on, and I'm writing these notes down, and I'm connecting the dots on who they connected to. It's all leading back to a handful of people that are very successful now. Now, what do I do with that information? Please tell me, what do I do with that? It's in my chest. It's waking me up 3:30 in the morning every other morning. Are you going to be a coward, Griff, now and not say anything when you know what you're feeling is the truth?
Right.
So I started connecting the dots, and I started putting it out there. And when I went back to study Steve Coakley's work, Jordan Maxwell,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't introduced to Michael Tessarian then. I went back to study their work, and I said, wow, this is the same. This sacrificial stuff is going on not only in religion, it goes on in secret societies, and it now is going on in hip-hop. Have the Illuminati, through the Masonic organizations, infiltrated the music industry?
Mm-hmm.
And all these just rituals that we're going through? I was like, that's a question that we had to answer. Well, I had to answer for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started putting it together, it almost told the story by itself. So I just asked basic questions. Like, for example, let me ask you guys a question.
Mm-hmm.
What was Lisa Left Eye Lopez doing in South America with Dr. Sadie?
Yeah, I remember watching that last because they taped some of that for a VH1 thing, and boy, could I feel her. And continue, because that's always sat with me.
It almost brings you to tears.
Yes, yes.
So hearing it through the African grapevine, I ran into her sister, and we sat down she said, Griff, my sister was down there trying to cleanse herself of the madness that goes on not only in her life, but in the world, and especially in the music industry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what I discovered? I'm like, well, who was she signed to? What was she doing? She was signed to Suge Knight.
Oh.
See the response y'all just gave me?
Yeah.
That speaks volumes.
Yeah. Well, you don't get goosebumps for nothing.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. I'm like, wow, okay, now I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why? And just answer this for me. And I'm paraphrasing Dave Chappelle. He said he was best friends with Martin Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Why was Martin Lawrence running around Hollywood waving a gun, running down the street, saying that they're out to get me? What was that about? If Professor Griff is crazy, and I'm talking about blood sacrifice and this kind of stuff in hip-hop, Masonic, Illuminati stuff going on, why is that happening?
Mm-hmm.
If Tanya and Beth all of a sudden became close to billionaires, definitely millionaires, overnight, would you be on TV taking off your damn clothes in front of the world?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Absolutely not. Right or wrong?
Right.
So explain Mariah Carey then and Beyonce. See, explain this to me when she marries Tommy Mottola or one of them cats, and all of a sudden she wants a divorce. I said in my lecture, she seen something.
Mm-hmm.
She heard something. She was a witness to something that she wanted no part of.
Yeah.
So subsequently now, shortly after the divorce, we're going to write her off as being crazy. And that's what they did.
That's the easiest MO. Oh, they've lost it. They're crazy.
Right, exactly.
They need meds.
Right, exactly. So I'm tying all this together in a few short years, I managed to put this stuff out there, and people are waking up to the madness that's going on in the music industry. A lot of the people that are tied to some of the entertainers that are still making money in a music industry that really doesn't even exist anymore. We don't make good music.
No.
We make good products, and we need the music to sell the damn product.
Right.
Can I ask, at Wash Your Brain, we really realize that music and frequencies affect our own vibrations, and in ways that most people don't even understand. I've heard you say a lot about music that targets just the lower chakras. What, in your opinion, are some examples of artists that you believe target the heart and higher chakras?
To be honest with you, are you sitting down?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you are? Okay. When I hear Otis Redding, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it does something to me. I'm even choked up now. I can't. That's higher vibration to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we can kind of agree on that. When I hear certain aspects of natural wind instruments.
Yeah.
Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
That raises the vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I hear the raw, gutsy tones coming from what Bob Marley was saying, how do you deny that?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can do is close your eyes and just feel.
Yes.
Plain and simple. Even with some of the edgier kind of subject matters that he was dealing with, nonetheless, you feel it. You feel it. It's not a tug of war.
Right.
Now, with that said, can you imagine waking up in the damn hood? I'm like, dude.
Yeah,
That's sensory overload.
I lived in Brooklyn. I lived by the Marcy
Sensory
Project.
overload. You can't even think with that going on.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Right.
You dull the senses. You can't think. And now what you want to do, you want to feed that energy center. You want to feed the lower chakras. Food, sex, lighting L's, drinking.
Thank you.
Lower vibration. So now when you bump into a Professor Griff on the street and I'm having a conversation with you and you try to lower the vibration of the conversation and I'm trying to raise it up, you understand what I'm saying? Then it's this tug of war. Subsequently, you hear a lot of black men talk about, know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? No, I don't know what you mean. Say what you mean.
Yes.
You feel me, son? You feel me? No, I don't feel you. So subsequently, some of us hear what I'm saying, and some of us say, I see what you're saying. Some of us say, I get what you're saying. So we have this, what is it called? Cognitive dissonance, I believe. We had two opposing forces trying to occupy that same space, and it's a tug of war now. So it's like, okay. And then the deeper science, when you talk about Hilton Otima, you're talking about the gate of God, which I tried to introduce at one time, but had to pull back from it to get people to understand that this electromagnetic field that surrounds the earth is the same electromagnetic field that surrounds the body, and it's called your aura. Crystals have memory.
Yes.
This is why they put it in the television.
Yeah.
This is why when we on Skype late at night, showing the body parts to other people across town and across the country, there's a memory inside of the damn computer.
Yeah.
Right.
This is why they make LCD televisions, liquid crystal displays, plasma, HD. It's memory. It's crystals. But to get people to understand that, it's like, come on. I mean, to me, okay, let me put it this way. To me, I can resonate with it real easy because not that I was brought up that way and I sat on a mountain somewhere and got some ancient Chinese secrets. I didn't do that. I grew up in the hood just like everyone else. But I stopped lending my energy to the negative stuff. There's a slide that I show Well, a brother with his hat twisted backwards with a 9mm sitting next to him, sitting across from a Klansman with a butcher knife, and they're playing chess. And when I show that slide, I tell people, even though we're participating in this thing called the game of life, I still don't have to hate my enemy. I don't have to waste my energy hating an enemy. I can put that energy into the game of life and come up with strategies and tactics in order to win in life.
Right.
But now, since I'm vibrating on a higher frequency, I'm trying to send out invitations.
Nice way to put it.
So that's just in a nutshell of Professor Griff. I mean, right now as we speak, so trying to get my 7th Octave album through, and I think Speech from Arrested Development said it better than I could ever say it. He said that, can you imagine if our organic thoughts did not have to go through the hands and through the lens and through the filter of this machine world? Imagine what consciousness would be like.
Yeah.
He said that in a movie called The Diary of a Decade by Jason Orr. That's coming out. Beautiful piece of work by Jason Orr.
Oh, wow. Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
If we just kind of left it organic, if I was able to just experience the idea of going to a concert and sitting in row number 25 and just experiencing some of these artists, I would probably appreciate them a lot more. And I wouldn't mind buying the damn T-shirt. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
But now it's like, come on. So
We've talked a lot about Masons, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of the Boule. Can you offer
the Boule?
Yeah, the Boule, offer any enlightenment on that?
Well, the Boule are the advisors to the king. The Boule is actually the black skull and bones, so to speak, because that's what they pattern themselves kind of after, and they just kind of serve as the gatekeepers. And it's kind of sad for black people because it buys into the whole talented 10th, not necessarily saying that the talented 10th was going to look out for the 5 or the 85% masses of black people, and they're not. We can see that now. The masses of black people, matter of fact, the masses of the human family will suffer, and the wealth will be in the hands of the 1 to 10%. And they're not sharing the wealth. And when I say the wealth nowadays, I'm talking about the idea of getting a clean glass of damn water.
Yeah. Right. Good luck. Right.
I'm talking about some damn tomatoes, especially with Codex Alimentarius. I'm talking about getting some vitamin C and some damn herbs. I'm not talking about diamonds and the latest car and the latest T-shirt that's out. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
I'm talking about some basic stuff that you're going to need to exist on the planet. How about fresh air?
Yeah. Clean water, good food.
Right.
Right. So, I see all of a sudden now a lot of people, especially, they're giving the illusion of going green.
Yes.
This is, oh man, I probably have to calm myself down before I have that conversation about Codex Alimentarius and some of these other things, the implantable biomicrochip, and all of a sudden multinational corporations want to encourage people to go green, and while at the same time they're still poisoning people.
Right.
Well, it's that whole false sense of, oh, sure, you're being responsible if you eat organic and buy green and recycle. Oh, you're doing your part, but it's still just a part of being a consumer. They're still just making money. If you wear the recycling symbol, that makes it okay. I mean,
right. But it's all an illusion. You've seen The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've seen the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water, go down the yellow brick road, which is gold, on an esoteric level. You've seen them carrying the animal, the dog, which represents the lower nature, carrying it with them all the time.
Right.
And in most cases in the television show or the movie, the lower nature were carrying out some of the tasks that the higher nature was supposed to carry out, or the higher self. You've seen the Wicked Witch of the West, which represents America, or that mentality. And then when you finally got to Oz, you found out that this little
explicit deleted
was behind the curtain. You understand what I'm saying? Controlling everything, and it was just a big illusion.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse my language.
Oh, you're fine.
It's fine.
You're fine.
But while we're on the word fornication under the consent of the king. But anyway, so it's very real to me now, and I'm not easily led in the wrong direction. I see what's going on. once again, trying to invite people to this particular, school of knowledge or school of thought is a very, very difficult task. And to be honest with you, I've lost family members and friends that just don't speak to me anymore.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Quite a few.
Oh, good. So join the club, and I don't feel so alone now.
Yeah, really, I'm 40 years old, and I can count my friends on one hand. It wasn't always like that, but my evolving, they've dropped away. Tanya's crazy.
Yeah.
Can I speak to that for a second? Isn't it amazing that long as we're doing lower nature stuff, lower vibratory stuff, we're cool. Lower energy stuff, lower frequency stuff. As long as I'm drinking with you and we lighting L's and bagging chicks at the club, I'm fine.
Yes.
Right.
As long as I'm gambling and drinking and eating bad food, 3:30 in the morning, greasy food from out of a damn window that they're passing food out of, we're fine. But as soon as I want to go organic and eat right and take care of myself, and I don't want to hang out late, I need proper rest, I'm drinking water, I'm jogging, exercising, treating, respecting people on all colors, all complexions, all nationalities, all religions. Oh, there's something wrong with Griff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm crazy because I love myself and I don't watch TV and I don't eat fast food. I mean, these are all the, and I don't subscribe to religion. These are all the things that make me crazy to other people. But it's, we seek to be led until we find the leader within. Mm-hmm. And in everything that's going on, we're taught to search outside ourselves. And that's what, what we're doing right here, what you've done, the majority of your life, all these things is to try to remind each other that we've got it all. We've got all the power, all the love, everything that we ever need right inside.
And that's what I teach in reference to the whole idea of education. I let students know that everything that you need to be the best you that you could possibly be lies within inside of you.
Yes.
Right.
All you need is a curriculum to bring it out. That is it. And no one grades that but the self.
Mm-hmm.
Plain simple.
Mm-hmm. At Wash Your Brain, our goal is really to empower and inspire our youth. We realize that most of the programming and conditioning happens at a very early age.
Right.
Let me ask you, if you were given the chance to educate young people, what would be the most valuable thing, in your opinion, to try and teach them?
The most valuable thing that I would teach young people is the value of self-knowledge, knowing self. There's no other science, there's no other discipline that I could possibly fathom or come up with to let them know that's more important than that. Every great philosopher, everyone taught know the self. You have to know the self simply because this whole conversation that we've been having is about pulling these things out of the self. Mm-hmm. Even if you pull out the not self, nonetheless, it's part of the self. This is why I get in this kind of conflict with religious people, because they take these things outside of the self and point out in the sky somewhere. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's inside of the self. For example, Christians with the Jesus and the 12 disciples, I often teach, no, you may be the Jesus that you have to take yourself down off of the crossroads of life on an esoteric level. And the 12 disciples are 12 different aspects of the divine self. You.
Yes.
You carry your cross. Mm-hmm. Muslims, you have Allah and you have the 99 attributes of Allah. Why can't you be the center of that and the 99 attributes are the 99 attributes of the God self? Mm-hmm. The Ifa in Yoruba, any of the African traditions in dealing with the Orishas. If there's 400 Orishas, 2 female, 200 male, and 200 female. These are aspects of the divine self. That's it. So it's the knowledge of the self. It's knowing thyself is the thing that I would value and I would want to pass on to young people.
Oh, thank you, Griff.
That's great. That's great. Well, we know you're pressed for time, but we really, really appreciate
I kind of am, but I didn't want to throw that in there because I wanted to keep the energy going and just whenever we
Thank
got
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can do it again sometime and maybe talk about your new book.
Well, I really wanted to ask you guys, can we do it again? Because there's some things I wanted to go over and read so we can put a cap on it to let people know that we're not crazy.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, honey,
That people that wrote about this and etched it in stone that we can read to people and let them know and we're to go get it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I thank you so much for this. Your energy is so incredible. I'm absolutely blown away by you. I want to plug your website. Is there anything else I can refer?
You know, like I said, I'm the Seventh Octaves album. My band, it's a rap metal band, and it's the God Damage.
Okay.
My book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop, which hopefully will be out this month, and the present book I have out now, Analytics. And analytics basically is not a very difficult kind of term. I know a lot of people wrestle with that term, but it's just critical thinking. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Other than that, you know, I am a growing photographer because I am using that to balance out just kind of dealing with this everyday stuff. The last thing I shot, you know, I'm crawling on my hands and knees in the grass because I'm trying to use my macro lens to shoot I was shooting a ladybug.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's me at 50 years old. Looking 35, still doing one-arm push-ups.
Oh, you look great. Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Well, great. Can't wait to do this again. And thank you, Griff, for your time and energy and helping us wash our brains.
Yeah, thank you
I really
so
appreciate
much.
you guys.
Yeah, Griff, we love you. Thank you so much.
Love you guys too. You take care, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
you take care.
Oh, thank you very much.
You have been listening to a Wash Your Brain collective public service announcement. We can be found via podcast on iTunes and by visiting us at washyourbrain.org and subscribing to our RSS feed. We hope that you have enjoyed our most recent broadcast, and we'd like to remind you, it is within you to deprogram your mind and liberate yourself from the manipulation that takes place every day through the system of mind control. Knowledge is power, and it can help to eliminate fear. We thank you for joining us on this journey to free those minds that are currently being distracted and to empower the spirit of all members of the human family. We hope that you share this important message with others as this journey is yours. Together we can remember who we really are and breathe new life into that which they have worked so hard to program, our world. By remembering who we are and our true significance, we can learn to love ourselves and create the harmony we wish to see in the world, free from all fear and control. Please visit us again next week to listen to another unique perspective that we hope aids in the knowing and protecting of your rights. Love yourself. We love you. Thank you for tuning in, and take care of you for us. We're with you.